of you there. And then we'll just kind of talk through next steps, and we'll hang around afterwards for questions. Okay, we still have folks standing, so I'll just pause before we go on to say there are 9 seats right up here, 2 right there, 3, 7 right here. If you don't want to stand for the next 45 minutes or so, please come have a seat. We'd love to have these comfortable. It's great to have this place packed. All right, I'm going to introduce our Director of School Counseling, Raven Ashworth.
Hey, hello everyone. I love that this mic isn't locked into one place. I like to move, so this is good. Hello, I am Raven Ashworth. I'm the director of our school counseling team. Next year will be my 9th year here at Brebeuf. I know you're thinking you just look a day over 16, so how is that possible? But it will be my 9th year. And outside of being at Brebeuf for a while, I have the very unique perspective of I will have a kindergartner next year. So, like many of you, this might be your first child coming into high school. I will be also going into that role of having my eldest go into school, so I'm very excited about that. Now, I also have an almost 4-year-old, and I have noticed over time the similarities between toddlers and teenagers. And if you have a current freshman, you already know my bit. Don't ruin it for me, okay? But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say some statements, and I want you to yell out whether you think it applies to a toddler or a teenager. You ready? Craves independence. Needs boundaries. Will eat all of your snacks the minute you get home from the store. Thinks they know it all. Needs help wiping their butt. Some parents are laughing harder than others. Demonstrates an utter lack of ability to communicate what is going on inside them. Requires saint-like patience from a parent or guardian. And lastly, needs to know that their parent or guardian is there to catch them when they fall and will continue to love them unconditionally despite their sometimes questionable decisions. So you see the parallels. So, real quick, before I go into the meat of my portion of the presentation, unsolicited advice I like to give. Throughout the next 4 years, your child is going to face challenges. That is one thing I can promise you. They might get their first C on a test or paper. They've never experienced that. Their friend group might change. They might not have success with a potential love interest. They might get cut from a team. All of these things may happen. Think now, as a parent or guardian, how you will react. Because they will look to you on how they should respond and move forward. So that's just my little piece of advice. They look to you, establish expectations now. Now, one of the many roles that we have as school counselors, outside of supporting your child throughout their 4 years here, is ensuring that they graduate high school. Now, some of you may be aware that the Department of Education is changing requirements for the class of 2029. Does anyone in here work for the Department of Education? Good, okay. So, no, I'm kidding. But really the thing I want to share, and I'm going to do a super, super high level overview. Please know I'm doing that on purpose. If you have a current child here at Brebeuf, basically what I want you to take away is really not much is changing on our end in regards to graduation requirements. This is information that we will go over multiple times with your freshmen and with you all. Every year in the spring, we sit down with your child and we create the schedule for the upcoming year. At that time, we audit their transcript and we will always let them know, hey, here's where you're at in regards to the diploma, here's what you still need. So please know, we are here for that. We don't expect you to memorize that, okay? Additional notes, because you'll see, community service, that doesn't happen until junior or senior year. A sport will fulfill your students' second PE credit, and they have until their 8th semester to obtain that. And then all Brebeuf students should plan to complete a minimum of 3 AP and or dual credit courses by the time they graduate. That's a long way off. Don't stress out about it. We will talk this through. But again, basically what I want you to take away is not much is changing for us for your class. Okay, so I have 2 sample freshman schedules. This first one is if you do not do any summer school this summer. I often hear from families and students, does my child need to do a summer school course? The answer is generally no, but it kind of depends. And I will talk about a few reasons why. This is an example schedule if you do no summer school. Okay, you don't do PE or Introduction to Computer Science this summer. Freshman year, you just don't have a ton of options. It's just the way it is. I promise the more high school goes on, you have way more opportunities to take fun electives that you really want to take. Freshman year, you're just a little bit locked in, and that's okay. Now, if you do elect to do both PE and Introduction to Computer Science, here are openings that you might have. The other thing is that Brebeuf allows students to have what's called a break period. Okay, that's parents, if you don't know, that is a 1-hour time in your student's schedule that they will have free on the days that class meets in our rotating schedule, that they don't have to be in a room. Okay, so a lot of free time. If you know your student and know they might not benefit from having that amount of free time, they don't have to have it. They want to have it, they don't have to have it. So as you can see here, there's room to play with. Now, in theory, you could also say, okay, I'm going to do Intro to Computer Science here. I'm going to do PE in the summer. That gives me a 1-semester opportunity to take an elective of my choice. Okay? If you have questions about this, please, please, please schedule that individual meeting with your school counselor. More information will come out next curriculum night about that, and we are happy to talk through options with you. But the major takeaway is you don't have to do summer school, okay? If you are in Learning Center, which we'll talk more about later, it might be a good idea. Band, choir, orchestra, sometimes it also may be a good idea. However, please keep in mind, we can always push PE and computer science to a later year as well. Okay, Greg? Okay, so Mr. Van Slambrook is going to talk more about summer school options.
Thank you. All right, summer school you hear a lot about, and the reality is the majority of students coming to Brebeuf do take summer school. You should know that. It's not that, again, that most of them need to for their schedule. Most of them have an enjoyable experience with getting to meet other students, and it's just a fun way to spend a few weeks during the summer. There's 2 options for incoming freshmen for summer school. They're on the slide behind me. So PE, your basic PE class. A lot of students like to take that during summer school so they don't have to change during the school day, get sweaty and whatnot. And it's just, again, a fun way to, you're outside most of the time, to get to meet some folks during the summer. Intro to Computer Science is the other incoming freshman class that's available during summer school. Both of these are 1-semester courses in a standard freshman schedule, so as Raven showed a minute ago, if you don't take them during summer school, they're probably going to be programmed into your freshman year schedule, kind of by default. But they don't have to be. They could also be pushed to other times. The sessions in summer school, they go 3 weeks here. There's 2 sessions, 3 straight weeks from beginning on June 9th, Monday to Friday, although June 19th is off. And then session 2, we take a week off for 4th of July week, and then July 7th, 3 straight weeks till July 25th. The morning session, if you register for a morning session, they're both 3.5-hour sessions, 5 days a week. 8:30 to 12 is the AM session, 12:30 to 4 is the PM session. That's slightly different timing if you've been here before, done summer school before. We moved the start time back. I think that'll be popular. I think it used to start at 7:30. So 8:30 is when it starts now in the morning. They're 3.5-hour sessions. You can technically do a whole day. You can do PE in the morning and intro to computer science in the afternoon and have that half hour for lunch and be here all day and be here for 3 weeks and get those 2 credits and be done with it. You can do 1 in each session, or you can just do 1 and be done with it. So those are the summer school options. The registration for summer school comes in the form that you are going to receive tomorrow. So, I'll show you that real quick. If the email that you're going to receive tomorrow takes you to this registration form, so I'll start showing you this now. This starts off with some demographic information. 2 pages of demographic information, kind of basic enrollment things. And then it asks you about, there you go, still on home language, sorry. Signature page. Okay, summer school. So on this page, there's going to be several other things I'll show you in here in a minute, but we're coming to talk about summer school first. So if you wanted to register for summer school, when you fill out this form, you would simply go to this drop down, make your selection of which session you'd prefer for which class. If you wanted to just take PE in the morning, which I can tell you is the most popular, June morning PE is the most popular, which does mean it fills up. We have capacity that's up to, I think, 75 students in a session. So if you want summer morning PE, I would do this earlier the better to make sure it doesn't fill up first. So you just select that on there, go on with the form, and then that just sends us that information. That will register you for that. You'll end up being billed through the student billing system separately for the summer school course. And that's how you make the registration. You can register again for both on there, or just one or the other, or none. You just leave those blank. You're saying I'm not registering for summer school. If you leave this blank and then decide later, hey, I do want to register for summer school, we can take that. We can handle that at a later date. That's fine too, if you change your mind after submitting this form. Okay, a couple more things to know about summer school. There are a lot of summer athletic workouts as well. And so what we try to do is distribute the calendar for all those team workouts. If you're thinking about playing, especially fall sports, you're going to have some team workouts over the summer. You probably want to know where those are so you can know how to plan summer school around that if you're trying to do both. And about, I think it's in April 1st is our goal to have all those team workouts fully up there. There's a lot of them already. There's a link in Brebeuf 101 to athletic team workout schedules for the summer. And you can look at what's on there. And if there's nothing on there for a sport that you're wondering about yet, email the athletic department, Ted Hampton, Jake Weinstein, or the coach directly. All that information should be on that same page on Brebeuf 101 about here's this team, here's the contact, here's the dates over the summer where they meet. Attendance policy has to be strict in summer school because you only meet 15 times for a whole semester course. So you can only miss 1 day of summer school. You can allow 1 absence. If you end up needing to miss a second day for basically any reason, you have to withdraw from the class and take it at a later date. And so the attendance policy, just know that if you're signing up for summer school, you can only miss 1 day. Don't plan to sign up for a summer school class because you're going to have to miss the first few days for a vacation. And drop-off and pickup times, just know for your planning your schedule, we open the building a half hour before the first morning class at 8 o'clock and close it a half hour after the last session at 4 o'clock. And if you're here for just a morning class and then you don't have another thing here until the evening, we really don't have a space where you can be supervised where we can accommodate you. So the building's not just generally open all day, even though there are classes going on all day. You need to be in a class to be here from 8:30 to 4. Of course, during lunch, the cafeteria is open and you can be down in there. But if you're thinking about dropping off and pickup times, in summer school, it's 8 o'clock in the morning and 4:30 in the afternoon. All right, next I'm going to turn it over to English Department Chair Sarah O'Keefe to give you an introduction to the 2 options you have for freshman English and how you can think about making that selection.
Hi, Mr. Van Slyberg said I'm Sarah O'Keefe, I'm the English Department Chair. And I'll do a quick plug, I do this every year. I'm also the yearbook advisor, and if you're a kid that loves taking photos, loves doing design, creative stuff, please think about the yearbook. We'd love to have you on staff, and it counts as a fine arts collective. So it's a fun class, and you also get some credit for it. The English department at Brebeuf is a really special department. There's 11 teachers in our department. We have a combined total of 200 years of teaching. I think you're going to be hard pressed to find that depth of experience at to you just a minute about the pathways of classes that students can choose when they're in the English department or in their English classes at Brebeuf. So at Brebeuf, students take one English class every year. So you will have English all 4 years at Brebeuf. You will also have summer homework all 4 years at Brebeuf. You're excited about that. No matter what class you take. The classes for freshmen are English 9 and Honors English 9. And what I want to emphasize before I talk about the differences between those classes is that we don't lockstep students into a path. So it's not that you're getting on one track and you're stuck on that track. We want you to be able to look at the other classes you're taking, the other work that you're doing, your experiences in English, and decide where you want to go each year. So I just want to emphasize that no matter what class you choose for your freshman year, you're not stuck on a specific path for the next 4 years of high school. So if you're trying to decide between English 9 and Honors English 9, if reading and writing bring you joy, if you like coming to class and talking about literature, if you feel confident in your writing skills, if your teacher tells you, I need you to write an essay on this topic, and you feel like, yeah, I can do it, I know where to start, I know where to begin, I feel confident in my skills, then Honors English is probably the right choice for you. If you've been in an Honors English course through middle school, Honors English is probably the right choice for you. If you look at your other classes that you're taking and you feel like you can balance the workload, because there is going to be an increased rigor, more out-of-class work in an honors level class, then we would love to have you take that class. If you are not sure, but reading brings you joy, you feel good about your reading skills, I would encourage you to still consider Honors English. If you're like, I'm going to do 4 years of English because I have to, but that's about it, or that's where I'm at right now, then English 9 is probably the right choice. Or if you're just not as confident in your skills and you want to grow, and especially your essay writing skills, you're not somebody that wants to do a lot of reading outside of class, then English 9 is probably the better path. For selection for these courses, we have a portfolio review. And so what that means is that when you go through that process that Mr. Vance Lambert has shared, you're going to select English 9 or Honors English 9. If you select Honors English 9, then we're going to use the application materials that we already have, and we are going to do our best to make sure that that's the right fit for you. If going through that process, we're going to make a recommendation on which course we feel is the best choice for you, the best pathway. If your pathway, your desired pathway is Honors English 9, but you don't get that recommendation for English 9, that doesn't mean that Honors English is out. It means I want to have a conversation with your parents and just talk about your goals, your skills, so that you feel like it's the right path. So I just want to emphasize that. When you go through the process, if you're interested in English 9, please select English 9. We'll review your portfolio, we'll make the recommendation. If you don't get the recommendation that you're hopeful for, we will have a conversation and talk more about those skills so that you feel good about whatever class you're going to do. All right? And now, Mr. Mayor.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Students, how excited were you? You had a long day of school. You get home and mom and dad said, hey, get ready, we're going back to school. Like, how many people were super excited? Yeah, a couple people in the back. Love you. My name is Matt Mayer. I'm the Social Studies Department Chair here at Brebeuf Jesuit. Congratulations. Congratulations on being here. And I'm going to say this with 100% confidence. You may not realize this yet, but you guys have made the best decision of your early lives choosing to come to Brebeuf Jesuit. I can say that with great confidence. I can say that with great confidence because I've been here for 17 years. And every year is even better. I can say it with even more confidence because I have a freshman who is here at Brebeuf Jesuit and is thriving in his freshman year here at Brebeuf. Came from he was the only kid from his public school, and he is thriving here at Brebeuf Jesuit. I also have 3 other kids, and we were doing the math earlier. My daughter is our youngest. She's in 2nd grade, so I will have continuously, over the next 11 years, a student at Brebeuf Jesuit. So I think when I turn 54, a golf course will be calling my name. So I will be done the good deed for Brebeuf Jesuit. But I'm here tonight to talk to you guys about your options for social studies. Social studies, you have a lot of different options when you come to Brebeuf Jesuit as far as social studies is concerned. As a freshman, every freshman will take either AP World History or you'll take World Civilizations, which I'll talk more about that in a little bit. As a sophomore, you'll take either United States History or AP United States History. Junior year, you kind of go away from us a little bit. But what we find is the Social Studies office is great and we're awesome, and a lot of people take one of the many electives that we have here. We offer a lot of AP classes through Social Studies. We offer psychology, sports psychology, Black history, women's rights movements. We are expanding our business program. We're really, really excited about a lot of the options that we have coming up for us. And then senior year, you get to spend with me in either economics or AP government. So you'll have plenty of options throughout your 4 years to get to know the wonderful people that make up the Social Studies office. So let's get back to the task at hand here, though. What should I take AP World History or should I take regular World Civilization? I'm going to tell you right now, there's an AP in front of the word World History, and AP stands for Advanced Placement. It's an AP level class as a freshman. It's a lot of work. I'm not here to scare you off. We got a lot of great students who are taking this class right now, and they're doing very, very well. So why would I want to take this class? One, I love history, right? One, I love history. If that's a check, then ask yourself, am I a self-driven person? This is a very student-driven class. There's a lot of reading, whether it's textbook or primary sources. There's a lot of writing, and you're preparing it's a year-long class that's preparing you for the AP test in May. So we have a lot of students as we're getting closer to spring break, we're getting ready to take their first AP test come May as freshmen. Now, if you're like, that ain't me, World History, World Civ is a great class that you guys can take. And sort of what Ms. O'Keefe talks about with English, if you decide not to take World History, because maybe AP World History is not your jam, that doesn't mean that you can't take AP United States History as a sophomore, or any of our other AP classes as a junior or senior. So maybe you just want to get your feet wet as freshmen. Maybe you are going to take the honors English class, but you don't want to maybe necessarily take the AP World class. That's awesome. We want you to come in here and be successful. So you'll obviously indicate which class you want to take. If you decide to take the AP World class, that's what you'll indicate. Myself and the Social Studies team will go through a lot of different resources that you guys have provided in the application process to make sure that you'll be a good fit. We don't want to put anyone in a place where they won't be a good fit. But I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have afterwards. I'll be the big, tall, bald guy in the back. Now I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Van Slamber. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. All right. So you just got to hear from those two academic departments tonight, English and Social Studies. At the next curriculum night, we'll go through other parts of the core curriculum and your freshman schedule. I'll try not to hit you with all of it in one night. It's a little overwhelming. And the main thing, the way we organize that is these two, as you might have noticed, they do not require a placement test. There's not an additional test to take for AP World History or for Honors English. It's just an indication on the form that I showed you earlier. It asks you to, if you want to choose to select being considered for AP World History, then the history teachers, the admissions information we already have from you will be used to consider whether you're appropriate fit for that class, and there's no additional test to take. So both of those, English and history, are indicated on that form that I showed you earlier, the same place, same page as the summer school selection. And what we're going to talk about next is the next topic on that, which is on academic accommodations. So at Brebeuf Jesuit, we provide accommodations for student learning needs. This applies to approximately 15% of students at Brebeuf, so if this is you, you are not alone, or in a place that not a lot of other students are. There are about 10% of our students are in the Learning Center program. Many people already know that they've applied for that program through the admissions process. That's typically for students who need additional one-on-one or small group learning support scheduled into your day. Each academic cycle, you need 5 times out of 8 days with a Learning Center teacher. So that's for students with, typically if you've had a 504 plan or an IEP or significant learning accommodations and supports previously, then you should consider the Learning Center program if you haven't already. If you haven't already, there's still time to talk about that with your school counselor and determine whether that's right for you. There's an additional number of students who get testing accommodations. Maybe you just have a note, a letter from a pediatrician that's been used for this before, or maybe a 504 plan. It doesn't require full Learning Center teacher support, but just extended time on tests or preferential seating in the classroom or something like that. Those accommodations are managed through your school counselor. So if you have those, then you'll be indicating those on this form also. So on this form, it gives a space for academic accommodations, yes or no, and all that does is just indicate to us that your school counselor will follow up with you in this process to make sure we have the documentation, that we know what those accommodations will need to be, and that information will go into your learning support plan and to your teachers at the beginning of the year. Learning Center is a separate line for this. Again, many of you already know, the majority of you, if you're enrolling in Learning Center, you already know that, and that's already been part of your application, so you just check yes or no for that. And again, if you're not sure, then I would say you can check either yes or no and follow up with either Colleen Cannon or with your school counselor to have that kind of follow-up conversation about whether we should consider that. So that's academic accommodations, learning support at Brebeuf, something that, again, many students here use and benefit from, and if you need it, you should use and benefit from it and learn how to continue that through for success in your high school career and potentially in college too, and we help with all of that. There's documentations that are needed for that, which if you've done this before, you're probably familiar with a process like this. So I already mentioned number one, you'll indicate it on the form. We'll review your documentation that you've already shared. We'll follow up if there's missing documentation or if we need more. And then if we are adding a Learning Center program, if we haven't already, then we'll have that conversation by the end of April so we can get it into your freshman year schedule. Okay, the next steps, as I already mentioned, you're going to get this form in the email tomorrow. That's the Summer School Enrollment and Course Request Form 1, Wednesday, March 5th. That's tomorrow. You'll receive that in your email. And we ask for that back from you by Monday, March 17th, so that we can keep the information flowing to us in the way that we need it to build your schedule. So there's a deadline on that. It gives you a couple weeks to make these considerations about summer school, as well as those different AP and honors English and world history considerations, academic accommodations. Ask us any questions you have in those couple weeks, and then you send us back that form by the 17th. Then we will send you the second of the course request forms after the second curriculum night, which is in a couple weeks. So there's, I'm going to get to that in a second, but there's a second form that comes in there that continues to flow information to us from the scheduling process. You'll have placement testing, which you will take in April, and we'll have placement decisions. The first round of placement decisions comes before the placement test. I'm getting myself mixed up. So when you submit that first form, then we will let you know, confirm with you Honors English 9, AP World History, Learning Center, and your schedule by mid-April. In Curriculum Night 2, in 2 weeks, we'll go over with you more about making that one-on-one meeting with your school counselor in April. There's a easy link, kind of a Sign Up Genius type format, platform for that. It's optional, but it's encouraged. So we'll go over that with you in a couple of weeks. You'll hear from those other academic departments. We'll talk more about placement tests, about how that works, what to know about what's going to be on them and how to prepare for them. And then we'll talk also about electives. If you take summer school, or sometimes even if you don't take summer school, you will have elective options for your freshman year. As Ms. Ashworth mentioned, there's not a lot of elective options freshman year, but if you do take summer school, then we do need at least one or two elective options from you, depending on how many summer school classes you take. And even if you don't take summer school, if you heard what Ms. Ashworth said about you don't have to have a break, you can still fit electives like band orchestra choir into your schedule without summer school by scheduling them as an 8-period class. So you've got a lot of options with that. We'll go over that in more detail in the next curriculum night, show you that second request form, and then we'll also have folks from Performing Arts talking about the audition process that happens for band, orchestra, and choir. Whew. We try to make that a tight presentation so that we have time for a little bit of Q&A. It's a big group for Q&A, but we have time here to take a few questions if you want to hit me with some, and then I figure we'll do that for a few minutes and then break up into just kind of all the staff will be hanging around here for general questions. So yell your question at me, I'll try to repeat it and I'll answer it. Go ahead.
Okay, for the summer workouts, something you mentioned with the summer things, do you know if it's specialized for sports or if it's just general work?
Great question. The question was, are summer workouts, athletic workouts, sport by sport, or is there an opportunity for just general summer workouts? It's sport by sport. So if you are playing basketball, there'll be a schedule of basketball workouts. Most of them will be optional. Maybe for basketball, all of them are optional, I forget. Sport by sport, it varies, right? So depending on the timing of your sport, some workouts may be required, some may be optional. Our wellness center includes, at the beginning of the summer, if you're doing anything in the wellness center over the summer, including summer PE or summer sports, there's a wellness center orientation session that you'll be required to come into to basically learn how to safely use all the equipment with our trainer. And once you've done that, then you're qualified to use all that equipment. And if students wanted to come in here during the day and work out, as long as it's supervised, you're actually able to do that too. So there's availability for just general workouts, but generally it's going to be with your team. Yes, ma'am.
Is there a placement test for world language?
There is, yes. So the 2 placement tests you might end up taking, most people will take 1 or 2. Everyone will take math, and you'll take world language if you're continuing with a world language that you've already studied. Spanish, French, or Latin. Yes, ma'am.
If at your middle school you're taking a class called PCC, would that credit count for your credits?
Good question. So the question was, if you're taking a class called PCC, Preparing for College and Careers, currently in middle school, does that class count in credits here? It does not. The only classes that count in credits here at Brebeuf are high school classes that are taken in middle school. We have a whole policy on that in our employee handbook, or our student handbook. And it usually ends up being things like if you've taken a high school biology class in 8th grade and gotten a transcript from high school, that counts for credit here. But a lot of classes that you might end up taking in middle school that sound kind of high schooly, we consider them to be their middle school, high school prep classes, and that would be one of them, preparing college. Yeah, sounds like a good class.
So if I'm taking biology right now, I can take chemistry next year?
Maybe. Let's talk about it afterwards. And it depends on where you're taking biology and where the credit ends up being, but it's, that happens sometimes. Yeah, there's a handful of students who end up getting their biology credit already done in middle school, and us starting the chemistry here. What else? Yes?
Sorry, can you only take 1 language or can you take 2?
Good question. Can you only take 1 language or can you take 2? You can take 2 world languages. So the way you would do that, world language teachers love that question. It's great. So if you look at your freshman schedule here, you've got 1 world language listed here under period C/3. It's period 3. Our scheduling system uses letters, so C is 3. There's 1 world language. You would put your 2nd world language in one of these elective slots. And there's a handful of students who do that every year. For a couple more? All right. Sounds like we've hit you with so much that that's enough. Thank you again for being here. Rest of the staff, did I miss anything? Nope. Colleen, we're good?
We're gonna get we're gonna get 2 messages tomorrow. One from Amy Pitcher for the summer school enrollment, and another for the next steps for the class of 2029, where we share all this information. So a link to Brebeuf 101, a link to the resources as you're considering AP, World History, or World Civilizations English, and our Honors English. We'll kind of guide you through that process. So it's very helpful if you read your email. I try not to send you too many, and if you remember, I have a control freak about who can send an email because of this, and it's really helpful if you can meet the deadline. The last 2 years, we've had 100% of families submit these forms, which is unbelievable. So,
Don't break that streak.
No pressure, but.
Thank you for folks who stood around the back. I'm sorry you had to stand. These are all the chairs we have in this room. So thank you for your patience with that. Yes?
Is there a requirement related to summer school if you want to be able to take band?
Is there a requirement for summer school if you want to be able to take band? No. Most students who do take band choose to take summer school so they can still have that break period, because like Ms. Ashworth says, students like that break period. So if you want to have a break and band, you have to take 2 summer school classes to make that work. If you want to just take band and you're okay with not having that break period, then you can make that as your 8th class. All right, thank you again so much. Have a great night.